Welcome back to Fuzz Lab. Today should be kind of a fun episode. Well, fun for me anyway. And as you can see, in this tribute, I've got my super fun shirt on. Now you're probably asking yourself, where did he get that shirt? Well, surprise, surprise, yes, it did come out of a dumpster. And this particular dumpster has been very, very good to me over the years. Actually, I have it tagged into my GPS, even though it's like 2 blocks away. I guess I should start at the beginning. My buddy Gary, he's kind of a weird guy, looks like Santa Claus, lived with his mom, he's a little older guy. Well, Gary was into KeelyNet and like time travel and stuff. He called me up one time and asked me if I could get him plutonium. And he was serious. And it's like, no, I'm not going to the junkyard and getting you a dozen catalytic converters, Gary. Anyway, he had like all of the sliders on VHS. That was like my precious. Like he knew the guy that was the business owner for this dumpster, and I guess this guy was kind of notorious for being a bad businessman, and he was involved in a lot of shady business deals where people got screwed over. Anyway, the place was called Crazy Nichols, and when they went out of business, I ended up getting a lot of this stuff from them through Gary. The idea behind Crazy Nichols was you pay this steep, like $20 entrance fee, and everything was a nickel. And he had like a lot of old, weird video games like McCougan's Quest and Gunther's Bluff, like skee ball, and then there was like little tickets for prizes. And I remember there was a lot of like struggles going back and forth with the village board, and then he finally went out of business. Nobody was ever in there. And Gary ended up, he got me somehow through an auction, or maybe he helped the guy clean out when he was going out of business. He got me a MIDI timepiece too. And then I got, no exaggeration, I got between like 50 and 70 of these Sweetwater Sound MIDI cables. And then, I swear, like 100 of these 1/4-inch patch cables. They're good cables too, so I cut the ends off when I need a connector, and I chopped a lot of these, and I still have a buttload of them left. So thank you very much to Gary, and maybe I'll see you, or you could go back in time and get some more of this stuff for me. Crazy Nichols they finally ended up going out of business, and I ended up getting this it turned into a Cardinal Fitness, and this Cardinal suit, I've got the full body suit for it too. I got that out of that same dumpster. That thing is great. I put the whole suit on like on a Friday night at around 10:30, and I'll go running up to my neighbor's patio windows when they're watching TV, and then the cops come and there's a foot chase, and it's good, clean fun. So back to 3 minutes and 17 seconds and nothing relevant about the video at all. So we're going to be talking about theramins today. Now, not like the real Leonid theremin, Clara Rockmore, ooh, like the magnetic kind of high voltage theremin design. This is cheap. It's, CDS-cell, photocell, or electric eye, whatever you call them, like the optical theramins, they call them, or the light organ. Now, my first experience in electronics where I got turned on to this type of stuff was back when I was 8 years old. We moved to a new home, and I had met this weird kid. He was the kid that people paid him money to eat dog poo. He was my friend. And, so anyway, yeah, you're in good company. All you guys that are commenting down here, maybe you know him, Jimmy New. Remember that guy? I only paid him $1. I hope you didn't give him more than that. Anyway, I met this kid, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to play with my kit?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to play with your kit." And his kit he had these electronic project kits. Now, I've gone on to collect these This is the Radio Shack 301. It's a more modern version. It's got a breadboard in there, and you get a bunch of IC chips in it, and a book with all the circuits in it, obviously. And then this one here was, this is a $60 one, the 201 from Maxtronics. I had to travel quite a ways. This is like the first one that I got when I got back into this from being a kid. This one, when I received it, one of the transistors was blown right out of the box. And so I called. They're like, call us if there's a problem. So I called, and it was a special needs guy. It was like a Down syndrome guy that answered the phone. So I read him the part number and give him all detailed information, and it took a long time, and eventually I was like, are you sure? And like, could you read that back to me? And then I got it a while later, and it was the correct functional part. And it just, forgive me, Lord, and that's great that they have that special person in that capacity. But I was like, you guys got that guy answering the phone at Maxtronics? So that's the 201. And I had, if you've watched the Star Wars Christmas special, Harvey Korman holds up one of these things. It's like an angle one. It's white. That's this German one. And I had that too. My dad got that for me from the Vents catalog. And that thing, most of the circuits like had a picture of a frog, or like a rabbit with like lightning bolts coming out of it, and it would be like thine animal and massager, like beast and juice and flowing, like weird, like it wasn't a massager. You're just going to be lighting up your pet. You're going to be shocking your little brother with this thing. But that German one was excellent, and I don't know what happened to it. I think it got like dry rotted in a shed. But this, here it is. This is the Radio Shack. This is the one that started it all. Jimmy 161 Electronic Project Kit Science Fair. You can see the father there. He's probably tripping on like some orange sunshine barrel, like probably a couple, 3, 4 of them barrels. And he's discovering the secrets of his universe. His adopted daughter is like, I don't know, she's probably contemplating like what the hell she's even doing there. And the boy is struggling with his sexuality. He really doesn't want to be involved in this at all. But yeah, this was the first thing I ever played with, electronics-wise. All of my formal training and all my vast knowledge of the secrets of the universe and circuitry and electrical engineering, they all come from, this is it. You're looking at it. And you can see there's little springy guys, and you got your wire buddies, and you clip them in, and you can make little bleep bloop noises and all this other stuff that I didn't and still don't understand, like flip-flops and stuff with relays. Oh man, but yeah, here you can take a look. You can see that they give you kind of a nice picture of where all the wires go, and then underneath that they have it laid out with the numbers of where you plug the wires into the springs. And one of my favorite projects in here was this light organ or optical theremin. They got a lot of good ones in here, electronic candle, the big ear, electronic woodpecker from Mars, electronic cat, motorcycle, two-tone siren. All of these were basically lower or higher capacitor substitutions with just like a twin T oscillator or something. Anyway, and the horror movie sound effect. That was like it had a little bit of a warble to it, and CDSL light eye for the pitch control. There's something already built on here, but it's hooked up to the CDSL. I don't know, we got speaker transformer, there's a pot, single transformer. It probably is an oscillator. Oh no, it looks like it's a radio. Probably solar powered radio. So I'm going to take a break. I'm going to throw together the first example of one of these theramins that I built, and we'll take it from there. Okay, I went ahead and assembled the circuit with the springs and everything. I can't really hold it up for a close-up because I got like a mic laying on top. It's kind of quiet, so I mic'd it. It's really bad news what's going on here. Circuit uses a single transistor. It's probably like a feedback loop oscillator. It's like a pulse type oscillator, it says here, which is, I'm guessing, square wave. And inside the feedback loop, I mean, basically it's the capacitor is charging and discharging, which creates the pulses, and then that is throttled through the CDS cell. There's also a series resistor there, so we'll try changing that series resistor and see if we can change the pitch or the response of the circuit. Also, you could try changing the capacitors to raise and lower the pitch. But this is a pretty primitive, I'm going to turn the light on and give you a demo here. Okay, now there's a 100K resistor over here that is in series with the CDS cell, so let's lower that to a 47K and see what happens with our pitch. So there you go. Lower level resistor in series with the CDS cell that's inside that feedback loop raises the pitch. So you could see how you would, ideally you would have a pot rather than just a fixed resistor. And then we could try going down. It was 100K. I'll drop this down to a 200. That last one that was real high was a 10K. A little lower. Now let's see if we can make fart noises with our 470K. Big favorite of Jim. And nowadays, when I break these things out, what I'll do is, like, if I'm barbecuing on the weekend, I will I get out there and get all set up, and I'll bring the kid out, and there'll be some neighborhood kids running around. I'll be like, hey, you kids, got Julio, Spicoli, Joshua, you guys want to learn something? Come on up here. It's fun time with Petey, And I'll go, this is, an old toy, and I know you guys have Xbox 360. Check this out. And most of the kids are like, what does it do? And I'll tell them, and then they'll leave. But there'll always be one kid who just flips out on this thing, and they won't leave. And what I'll do is I'll be like, okay, we'll start off with, start them off with something easy, and then I'll work up to, like, the most complicated, thing in here. And so I'll sit back, and I'll crack open a cold one, and I'll drink, and it takes them a little longer to put them together than me. I'm more experienced, but that way I don't have to mess with it. I don't even have to crack the book. I can just tell them, look in there, is there that horror movie sound effect? Isn't there something like that? And it's really hard to build. It takes me like a half hour. So then the kid, as soon as he's finished, I'm like, let me try it. I'll read him one number wrong out of the thing, like, don't connect the last speaker, and then, like, let me see, and then I get to play with it for hours. And then, like, the parents start thinking I'm a weird guy, and, the cops come again. So usually get shut down pretty quickly with the 160 and 1 and the barbecue. All right, now I'm going to show you a slightly different model that's something I put together that's based off of a 555 timer IC. This is much more common nowadays to make one of these optical theramins utilizing integrated circuit chip as opposed to transistor-based, as we see in this design. Okay, fast forward a few years later, and I was in this cover band, and we got this new drummer. He was like a real weird guy. I've been saying that a lot, but birds of a feather. Anyway, this guy found out that I was into electronics, and he kind of commissioned me. He wanted me to build him a device like this, and this guy was the cheapest person I've ever met in my life. I mean, I know I always brag about this guy was cheap. He called me up once and asked me if I had any extremely long runs of speaker wire that he could have, okay? Needless to say, that was the last time that he ever called me. That was it. I mean, the gall. I mean, asking, like, that's just like, can I sleep with your wife? I mean, come on, it ain't gonna happen, okay, pal? Anyway, some kind of indecent proposal. It's just like, got a really long, like 30 feet of like real thick speaker wire I could have. Shack. Are you smoking crack or what? Anyway, this was kind of a little before the guy started getting goofy like that. And so I was like, yeah, we can. So I wanted to try to get an updated design of the circuit. And I knew that at the time Radio Shack had the Forrest MIMS. They actually carried them, the engineer handbooks. And they had a rack, and they had all of them in there. And they were kind of pricey, even for back then. They weren't cheap. So I got pencil and paper and went in there, and I had Dave stand there, and then I sketched out Forrest MIMS, the circuits that I wanted to build for 45 minutes, and wrote down a bomb, and then went and got all the parts. And this was back when the guys in Radio Shack were they were cool guys. They were ham radio guys, and they had equalizers in their car. They weren't like the guys that you run into in Rat Shack nowadays. Usually there was something wrong with them. They'd have a cane or lazy eye. They were good. They were cool guys. So yeah, this is Forrest MIMS design. It utilizes 555 timer IC. This is really shoddy workmanship in here. This is one of the first things I ever did on perf. You can see the chip there. It's just a couple of parts, and I'll be actually showing the schematic here. You can take a look at the actual schematic, and there's plenty of these available online. This one there's a pot that balances out. There's 2 CDS cells that I mounted in 1/4-inch jacks. The enclosure I got from American Science and Surplus, and that's where I got the Maxtronics kit from that had the blown transistor. But that's a great place. Look them up. Google American Science and Surplus. They have a real cool catalog that you can get, and that's an excellent place, especially if you're in the area and you can go browse around. American Science and Surplus. I'll link that this time for real. I'll put the link up. So let me throw the 9-volt in here, and we've got a couple more models to demo here. I have built a few of these Theramin, so I've got to try to keep this short for each model. But I've got this running through my mighty. Oh, hey, thanks, Paul. That's awesome, dude. Chromosphere, he's the man. It's a good guy right there. This is going through my Mighty Lion $5 Craigslist amp with a slightly better speaker. So you turn it on here, and what we got here? There's 2 CDS cells. You can adjust the pitch with this knob a little bit there. The top doesn't sound too healthy, but you can hear that's a square wave. So it's not very smooth when it gets down into the lower register. It pops. It sounds like a motorcycle there. But even in the higher registers, you can hear that square wave. It's kind of a jagged timbre. I'd like to start building these with sine waves, so I'm going to look into the sine wave oscillators that are a little bit easier to build. Hopefully come up with a cheap, simple solution for that, because these square waves are nasty. I don't really dig them that much. Now this here, I was in Salvation Army, and they had this rockin' power, and I just couldn't resist it. I don't know what. This thing was weird. It had some lamps in it, a speaker. I don't know. It was garbage. But I really loved the chassis. It was only $1.50, and this was a while ago when I made this. I was playing bass at this local church on their worship team, and there was this lady, Barb Marion. Thank you very much, Barb, for donating your old tape deck. She gave me a bunch of scrap electronics, and I love that when I get that stuff. I am able to reuse some of the parts. So this slider switch here controls the delay time. There is an echo module in here, and then of course the little VU meter. That works as well. That came out of that tape deck. Now back to the echo. When I was in Salvation Army, they had an echo megaphone, which is a cool. I bet it's a PT 2399 chip echo device. It had an incandescent bulb that would blink on and off with the respond to your voice. And I cut that in here, and I used the lamp. It was an incandescent bulb as a backlight. Well, initially I tried removing that lamp. I'm like, I don't want that lamp in there. It's going to burn out, and then and it stopped working. So I had tried. I think I blew one of those, and anyway, at one point recently, I chopped an LED in there. So it's got some old-timey weird oval speaker, came out of a TV. I think that TV had roaches in it when I opened it up. It was like, they came out like something on an Alien. You got to be really careful garbage picking stuff, you know. It's better to open it up outside on the patio in case you know, it's a roach motel. That ain't good, you know. Long story short, this thing's pretty cool. It's not that loud. This kind of, here's your volume. And this knob over here acts as a pitch control. There's 2 CDS cells. There's like a kill switch over here. The slider pod does the delay length of the delay time, and there's 2 CDS cells. The one is kind of like volume-ish, and the other one's kind of like pitch-ish. And there's a way to crash this thing where it makes a cool noise. I hope I can figure that out for you here. Well, just as an honorable mention, this is a circuit bent speak and spell. This is a really cool project if you're fortunate enough to find one of these units and spend a little bit of time modifying it. It's cool. This does have a CDS cell on it, and it does produce a tone as one of the stock Reed Gazella circuit bends. More on him later. I got to do a video on this thing, but anyway, yeah, the CDS cell, and I'll just show you real quick. It's kind of odd because the less light that falls on it, the higher the pitch goes. It's going higher. And then you get it right up by the light for lower, but yeah, it's backwards. So I'm going to throw a clip up of this thing in action. I got a little glitch loop going on it, and then kind of do this little couple of notes over it from another video. I'm going to throw that up on the next one. You'll get to see a little bit more of this sucker in action. This is a really cool project. It's not my idea. Guy by the name of Dino Segovis, and I've got another video for this, so I'm not going to spend a real lot of time. It's called the Slide Synth. Dino calls it a slider synth. I'll just demo it for you real quick here. I'm going to get a little closer to the microphone. Happy birthday. So, slide synth, yeah. I made a really nice one of these. I mean, really nice for me. But anyway, I gave it to Adrian Ballou. I thought he would get a kick out of this crazy little thing, you know. And so I demoed it for him. I played Happy Birthday, and then I handed it over to him. And he couldn't figure out how to play it. He was like an old lady with a remote. It was excellent. And he started making noise on it, and it didn't sound very good what he was doing. No offense, Adrian. You're unbelievably talented. You're the best guy in the world. But it was so excellent. And so I said to him, I said, for a brief shining moment there, I was actually better at playing a musical instrument than Adrian Ballou. I had my little moment in the sun. He chuckled, but it was really unbelievably rude thing for me to say. So, yeah, I'm going to play this clip of the the circuit bend, speak, and spell, and then me kind of riffing out over this real quick. And then there's one more, which is Atari Punk console, kind of dual APC with an echo that I built. So check it out. This is a device that I have nicknamed the Bad Idea. Now, what we have is a couple of VU meters came out of a junk boom box that I garbage picked. There's 5 CDS cells. What's inside of here is there's 2 Atari Punk consoles and then an echo box. So these are, each one is for the APCs, and then this one's for an echo box, the delay time. And these switches here control, if you throw them down, it puts the controls for the APCs and the delay down here and up here for the delay. And then up, these are inactive, and it's rerouted to these CDS cells for theramin like optical control. 2 APCs with a delay, and then there's a built-in amplifier, which is just something I cut out of a computer speaker, and the echo box is in there too. It's a lot of wiring in there. This was a really fun project. It looks kind of complicated. It really isn't that bad. I'll try to give you a decent close-up here. You can see over here, this side, there's the APC modules, the Atari Punk console circuit boards are in there. And then we've got, here is the amp module, here's the echo box module. I used some stainless steel blank like lamp or outlet covers for plates and cut this out because you always get the problem of the wood being kind of too thick. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the screws back in here, plug it up to some power, and I'll do a quick demo, and then I'm gonna throw a strobe light on it. So check this thing out, it's pretty cool. This next segment utilizes a strobe light, so if you have epilepsy or you're sensitive to strobing effect, shut this off. Do not watch this. I have to shut the lights off because the unit needs to be in pretty much darkness for this to function right. But like I said, strobe warning ahead.